Hello, this is Adam Graham with the Great Detectives of Old Time Radio and an update on our Listener's Choice vote. First of all, the reason I'm making this video is that we have more than 100 votes cast in each of the Listener's Choice polls. I really appreciate everyone who's voted. I'm not going to tell what the results are, because I want people to vote based on what they genuinely think or feel the top detective programs that we've done over the past 10 seasons have been, and not any other considerations. I will say, though, that some of them have been pretty surprising, because the main thing that I have access to at this point, because like the full methodology of the results are sealed, is just the first preference voting. And generally, if I based it on just what I got from people's emails, I would expect we would just have, 3 or 4 shows getting people's first preference vote. But really, there are so many different programs that are getting at least one vote. And it's interesting just to see what type of preferences that people have, and to see how many programs that people truly love and enjoy, including some that you might not expect. I do have one potential issue I want to mention in this video, and that is that I've noticed that there's 10% less people in general voting in the second poll as opposed to the first poll. Now, with the Listener's Choice vote, we are narrowing the field down to 32 in our standard division. And there are 16 will advance from each of the 2 polls. And I'm just noticing a drop-off from first to second poll. Now, if you voted and you just meant to vote in the first poll, you didn't have any interest in the detectives in the second poll, then certainly that's fine. But if you weren't aware there was a second poll, I encourage you to go to vote.greatdetectives.net, and we do have a direct link to that. Everyone else who hasn't voted, I definitely encourage your participation. Really, the Listener's Choice period of the show is going to be a thank you to everyone who's listened to and supported the show for the 10 years that we've been doing this podcast. And I'd like to make sure we get the programs that's going to best suit all of our listeners. So I encourage you to participate. Go to vote.greatdetectives.net. That's vote.greatdetectives.net to cast your vote if you haven't. And to everyone else who has, thank you so much. I really appreciate the votes. It's fascinating to see where some of your preferences lie. And again, you have until January 24th to cast your votes. So I encourage you to do that. But for now, from Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham, signing off.